Hey guys, thank you so much for joining My PA Box. This is my partner Jacob. My name is Sergio. We are PAs and founders of My PA Box. And today we're going to be talking about 5 things to know before starting PA school. So Jacob, take it away. What's your first point?
So I had a hard time actually with this. I don't know if you recall, it was like yesterday, 10 years ago now, but transitioning the studying style from undergrad to grad school. I don't know how other grad schools are, but PA school is rigorous. It is very, very time consuming, and my studying style had to change. So I remember in the beginning when I first studied my first semester, I tried to study in the same fashion for that first exam. And the way I used to study is I would write my notes and I would like read what I need to read and I try to rewrite it. I realized rewriting my notes took like an hour or two and longer per lecture.
Yeah.
So by the time I studied for one exam, I was like, all right, I'm good for this exam. And the next day I had another exam. And it's like, okay, I can't study by rewriting my notes.
Yeah.
So I realized I couldn't do that. And then you and I became friends at that point.
Right.
Somewhere along the way. And I just picked up on like the studying habits that we kind of formed, not necessarily just with you, but with like our clique of friends that we've made.
Yeah.
And that stylistic studying was completely different than the way I used to study in undergrad. I literally just sat down there, tried to remember or understand. I tried to first understand everything. Things I couldn't understand, I just tried to remember it.
Yeah.
So, and that really worked for me. So that transition took me a test or two to understand, but I nailed it in my first semester. So that's the biggest kind of tip I'll give to anyone when it comes down to studying for PA school. You definitely have to transition your way of studying, unless you already had like this brilliant way of studying that didn't require a lot of time.
Yeah, if it was like efficient. Because do you remember the way that I used to study? I want to see if you remember.
Yeah, you used to highlight everything along the way.
Highlight everything. So everything needed to, and nobody understood it because literally all my notes were highlighted, but I had a color scheme to it, right?
Brother,
so anything.
Can we stop with the color scheme? Your color scheme was, you didn't even know your own key to your color scheme, all right?
I'll tell you the key right now. All the important stuff, the keyword that was only related, only specific to that condition would always be highlighted in red. Anything with diagnosis, like which test to order, would be blue. Any treatment or medication would be green. I still remember that color scheme.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you this.
A couple of podcasts later or YouTube videos later that we're going to do.
It's going to be a different color scheme?
And I'm pretty sure your color code is going to be off somewhere, so
it's going to be fine. You know what? We'll do that. Randomly in the next video, just
but you're going to go ahead and watch this again.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you that color scheme because it's embedded, because there's all of my notes are coded in that color. Now, one thing is our friend Alfonso, red was specific to only that condition. So if it was like a buzzword, it would be in red. Blue, no, I'm kidding. So green would be the treatment. Blue would be any type of diagnostic testing. So see, I still remember that scheme. But the thing was that worked for me. And I did pretty well. For our buddy Alfonso, shout out to Alfonso, he basically wrote by hand small little things that he needed to remember on the side of all his notes. So bottom line is this, guys, see what has worked for you. Like what Jacob was saying, if your undergrad studying was efficient, which undergrad is going to be nowhere like PA school because just constant go, go, go. And I don't think anyone's ever experienced that in undergrad. You just won't, because you're not taking that course load in one semester. But you'll figure out your own way to do it. And the thing is, the first semester usually is the hardest because you're trying to adapt that style of what is the optimal way to study. So
not an optimal way of studying. There's a lot of factors you're kind of going in on. But just like, I like the point that you brought up in terms of the workload. So most students undergrad that do extremely well, I did decent in undergrad. I had like a 3.6 GPA.
That's a little bit more than decent, but okay.
Okay. So, and then when it came down to PA school, my GPA dropped significantly. I mean, I think a lot of people's GPA dropped significantly just because when I was an undergrad, I would take max 2 sciences at once.
Yeah.
That's it. When it came down to PA school, we took, I don't know, like 7 classes in one semester, like roughly around 20 credits per semester.
Yeah.
If not more, I don't recall. It was something around that. But they were all
Yeah.
science classes. It's like, hello, that's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
That's not easy to handle. And this is one of the reasons, if you recall, a lot of people got kicked or dropped or were kicked out of our first semester.
Yeah.
They just couldn't handle the level.
Yeah. Yeah. Adapting to that style, you know, to that style of studying for PA school is very important. And my advice would be figure out what that style is, you know, depending on how you can absorb that material. Like the other thing that I really sucked at was memorizing. Like I needed to understand you. I don't know if you remember those Najib videos I used to watch where he would be basically drawing out Najib, Dr. Najib. I don't know if he's still making videos, but he used to.
I think we used to watch, I mean, I don't know about him, but I know that we used to watch
Dr. Conrad from Kaplan. I used to watch him a lot too.
That guy. Yes.
Yeah. So Conrad, he was pretty funny too. Like, so, say that again.
I said I did just forget that name. You just reminded, but Conrad Fisher.
Conrad Fisher, yeah. Him and Dr. Najib, they were both good because they made me understand more than the notes, because I had a very hard time blindly memorizing, and those videos helped me. So I would listen to those videos while I was driving, things like that. You know, while I was sitting on the bathroom. Like you got to find out what worked for you and when it works for you. So anyway, point number 2 is you are one unit as a class. Basically the competition really is over, right? Like, so initially you're trying to get into PA school, it's highly competitive, but once you get in, it's not like in medical school where the competition is still there, where you have to apply for residency, you're still competing, then you're competing for fellowships, things like that. Once you're in PA school, you and your class are working collectively to pass your boards and become a PA. I remember we used to have, like, I believe a Google Drive where if we had an exam coming up and someone would want summarize and come up with these bullet points for the exam based on what it was going to be, they would post it on the Google Drive for everyone. You know, it wasn't like, hey, these are my notes, I'm gonna say, or I'm gonna pass. It didn't work like that. So do you have any points on that, Jacob?
Yeah, just like you said, listen, studying is, you're changing your study style is one thing. That was key to success in PE school. But the second pearl to that is trying to find that unity in your class. In our class, we had a class leader. Trying to remember Murphy.
Rich Murphy. He was the class president.
He was the class president. Yeah. Rich, my bad, I forgot your first name.
Shout out to Rich too. I'll send him this video once we're done.
Yeah, so he's the man. I remember. So we all function as a unit. All of us obviously had our own cliques and who we became more friendlier with, who we studied with, who we carpooled with, and etc. But the one thing that I was proud of my classmates and ourselves was that we were able to always help each other in situations of creating study sheets, study guides, and then, you know, pass around information that was necessary or was very helpful. If they knew something, they shared it. So we were good at that. So a lot of people, I don't know how, actually when I speak to a lot of students, I kind of get that vibe, but then I also get a vibe sometimes that these PA students, they don't function as one unit. And I'm telling them, guys, you guys don't understand. You're not competing with each other. When it comes down to medical school, yes, that exists. There's always a level of competition, trying to land residency that you stated earlier, or etc., trying to be better than the next person in your class, just because you're always competing for residency and trying to get the highest grades you can. When it comes down to PA school, you can get the highest grades that you want, but you're not competing next to the person in your class. The reason why, we all graduate with the same degree. No one's going to ask you, what did you get on your PANCE exam?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not something that you should be competing. Find a way to help yourself. find your help to help your classmates in any way possible. One of the cool things that I remember that we used to do, and this is still probably something that you can relate to, when we would finish a semester, we would always all go out as a class
to a bar and drink.
Yeah, we would always go to. I mean, not that we get like wasted, but we all go and have a good time with each other. We have several, you know.
I'm gonna put up a picture of when the last time we went out. It's on my Facebook. I'm gonna put it up in the video.
Have it?
Yeah, I have it. I'll put it up so we could all see.
I have a couple pictures. If you don't have them, I'll scroll back to my different laptop.
Yeah, send it over. Gotcha. I'll be very nostalgic to see.
Yeah.
So
we gotta tag all those people. See if they remember. You know, our faces. I don't know if we changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah. But. So I mean, like, and the point is that out of how many students did we have in our class? We had about, like, I think we started with 70, right? Out of those, I'm still friends with, like, me and you. Obviously, we're still in touch with each other. But Alfonso, Janelle, there are still people in our class that we developed lifelong relationships with. You know, they're probably going to be our friends for the rest of our lives. Hopefully. And the other, say that again.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah. So, you know, help each other out, work as one unit, and, you know, get through this beast.
One of the things that you just mentioned that's pretty interesting, and I kind of didn't realize that at that time. Now that I'm thinking about it, so most of our friends are in different fields, right? Like Alfonso, he's mainly primary care. You're doing urgent care. Janelle was in what field last time we spoke?
I think transplant. Yeah, he was doing transplant. Yeah.
I'm in ortho and pain. You know, the great part about all this is we have derm. I'm basis in derm and aesthetics. You know, we have a bunch of other Ps that I know from other programs. The cool thing is, like, yeah, you work with doctors, but I'm sure when you speak to your own fellow P, especially somebody that you're personally close with or connected with, you vibe with them different. And if you have a question you need to ask, say God forbid it's someone close to you, you can reach out to that person and say, hey, listen, you're in this particular specialty. I'm not the expert in it. Obviously, you practice in this field for time. You know what I mean? Do you not remember all the texts that I've sent you over the course of the past year? Like when there's an X-ray. We speak all the time. Sometimes, like, for instance, God forbid someone needs a transplant, something like that, and I don't know the specifics about it, I can reach out to Janelle. Hey, Janelle, you know what I mean? Help me out over here. What's the right approach in this situation? What would you do? No, and I would trust his opinion. It's different than me speaking to a transplant doctor that I haven't met before. You know what I mean? These are people that you establish a network with from a very, young. I mean, considerably. It seems like it's a young age, but bro, we graduated more than 10 years ago now.
Yeah. And that's our next point, actually, is like making those lifelong friends and networking, right? Like that flows right into that you're going to make your network is going to start from PA school, from your class. Right. And it's going to help you professionally. Like there have been jobs that I've gotten your friends, for example, Arthur, when he came, and he was looking for a job. There are jobs that I've helped Alfonso get in primary care, so that's a very important point, like networking, that we'll start there. The point number 4, sacrificing, like that probably is going to be the biggest factor in PA school, is the sacrifice that you're going to make. I remember not going to my friends' birthday parties, to some of my family members' birthday parties. I remember Christmas after I graduated and I was studying for the boards, and the exam boards were coming up within a couple of weeks, and I was studying during Christmas. I mean, I spent a couple of hours just with the family. I ate and kind of, I was like, all right, I got to get back to the books. And even when during exams were going on, I don't know if you remember our transition from our first semester to our second to our third semester was literally a weekend in between, right? We went right from semester 2, had a weekend break, and then we started the third semester right away during summer. And the majority of the time, like a lot of my friends in the summer were partying, they were going traveling, things like that. But you had to make the sacrifices in order. And I feel like that's with anything in life, right? Like in order to get over something. So for example, if I wanted to lose weight, right, I got to sacrifice the food that I enjoy eating. I love pizza, I love burgers, I love hot dog, but you got to sacrifice that in order to lose the weight. And it's the same thing with PA school. PA school is like, it's an ultimate challenge. And in order, anything that's hard, it's worth having, you have to make sacrifices. And just be ready and be prepared to make that sacrifice while you're in it.
So that's Motivation 101 for anyone out there by Sargil Shah.
Yeah, that's just the nature of it, man.
At that point, sacrificing is everything. I remember, look, I remember finishing my first semester of PA school. I came home, I told my parents, yeah, I just finished my first semester of PA school. I don't know how I'm going to do the second semester, just because we spoke to like the classmates a year ahead of us, and they all said, listen, second semester is much harder than first, because first you're transitioning, you're learning. Second semester is where actually the real workload begins, meaning it's new topics. First semester of PA school is generally undergrad science classes summarized in one semester.
Yeah.
When it comes down to second semester, it was all new topics. It was advanced physiology, it was pathophysiology at that point. You know, it was learning topics intimately. And for me, going into that, I came home, finishing my first semester. I told my parents, I don't know if I'll be able to make it through the second semester. And my dad literally sat me down and just said, listen, why are you going to PA school? I'm like, because I want to practice medicine. I want to make myself better. I want to be able to provide for my family, etc. He's like, all right, cool. If you flunk out of PA school, do those values change? I was like, no. He's like, all right. So you're trying to achieve your goal right now, something that you kind of wanted to pursue. Put everything that you can, you know, you need to study, go study. Don't hang out with friends. You need to do, you know, put your time and effort into something that's worth having. Because at the end of the day, when you finish, you'll have a degree in front of you. If you don't want to use it, you don't use it. But if you want to use it, it's right there for you. The point was, when I came home, I thought I wasn't going to make it through the rest of PA school because it was difficult. And I already saw the challenges with my first semester, where I was like, wow, this is a lot of work. And you saw how many people, 12 people couldn't make the cut, basically, to the second semester. So sacrificing is key to success in anything, especially PA school, just because if you cannot do that at an efficient way, you're just not going to be able to retain the information. Yeah. And you're not going to be able to pass the exams. It's just simple as that. Yeah. Now, just to give a small point, some people are able to work when they get into when they form like those habits, and you know, they know what they're doing, how much time they need to dedicate towards an exam or towards a particular test. So those people, hats off to you. You know, if you can do that, great. But some people can't do that. Yeah. So the basic recommendation in all PA schools is try not to work when you're in PA school. Some people have that ability, some people don't. You know, we did have some adults that had families that probably have, you know, bills to pay at that point, have kids. Yeah. So maybe they needed to have an income at that point. But the point of what I'm trying to tell, if you can sacrifice all that and just study, especially if you know that studying is difficult for you, you must sacrifice. Whether it's a birthday party, it's a wedding, it's a vacation, you know. And
do you remember with Dr. Tomasino? He was our program director. Remember the first day when we came, what he said? I don't know if you remember about. He asked us how many of us have girlfriends or boyfriends. You remember? Or husbands or wives?
No, I actually don't.
You don't. He said half of you are going to be divorced or you're going to break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend. You don't remember him saying that?
No.
Okay. So that was our...
Going back to it, listen, that was great advice at the end of the day. He wasn't lying. Yeah. You know, there's so much stress you go on. Listen, one day you may be stressful, you may be taking it in. The next day you have, you know, 10 exams in the next 2 weeks, one exam every single day. You're going to be stressed. You're not going to have time to see anyone. Those people.
And you know, one thing with PA school, that sacrificing and studying, what it helped me was to be able to say no to people. Like I would say I used to be more of a yes man and always say like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Or yeah, we'll go here. Or yeah, like I tried to pull myself in different places. But during PA school, it really helped me develop that character to say no, like, hey, I cannot hang out with you today, or I have to go study, and it is what it is. And the other thing that helped is having a goal in mind, as well as knowing that I remember when we used to go study, we all used to study together at Hofstra.
And it was fun.
It was, you know, what the cool thing was, it's not like we studied, it wasn't like in a group study. We all kind of picked one room. You were sitting in one corner, I was sitting in another corner, Alfonso was sitting somewhere else. And when we would take breaks, we would all kind of get together and talk and then go back to our own little corner. But the fact that I knew that all of you guys were sacrificing with me, or you guys were, you know, like, even though exactly, that's really kind of what motivated me, you know, and it really, you develop that character. It's like being in boot camp, you know, like PA school literally is boot camp for what's about to come. Like it'll really, exactly, it'll really develop your character. Like you will come out of it much stronger than you went in every way, shape, or form, whether it's the way that you develop your personal habits, or whether the way that you are able to absorb information. You will figure it out, and sacrificing is probably like the foundation of all of that.
The last point that we're trying to make, point number 5, when applying to people, things that you should know before applying to PA school, when you get into PA school, is you must have an outlet to something that brings you back to sanity, in terms of, it takes you away from the study mode, it takes you away from the stress. It can be a half an hour nap. That's me.
You used to be a napper, bro.
He would say this 100%. My friend, if he ever needs anything, it's a nap, and then he comes back right to normal.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people.
I mean, that was more of a study break. I wouldn't call that necessarily an outlet. What was your outlet? Like, was it exercise? Was it hanging out with your friends? What did you do?
So exercise is definitely one of those. So exercise is a form of meditation. Sure.
Did you exercise during PA school?
Yeah. Okay. So if I don't exercise, whether it's PA school or even before and during now, if I don't exercise for like a 2 to 3 week period, I started getting body aches. Like I just know my body enough where that's what happens to me when my body deconditions. It shows symptoms of pain. And again, I'm usually physically fit. It's not like I don't have any muscle tone or anything like that. It's just when I don't work out for an X amount of time, which is usually that 2 to 3 week period, my body starts to ache, and it lets me know that. So there's always a time I'll either have to do some push-ups, pull-ups, something along the lines. But my outlet, what I realized then is I like to watch funny comedy skits for like 20, 30 minutes. And me laughing would typically take away most of my stress. And just like, in order to laugh, you obviously have to concentrate on the content you're watching. It's not going to penetrate you. You're not going to laugh.
Yeah.
Like, thinking about something else. So
that's a good point. So you would really like kind of focus in on the.
You forgot how I used to like watch.
Yeah.
Bro, do you remember how Manpreet used to take videos of me?
Manpreet.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
He used to sit on the side of me watching.
Shout out to Manpreet.
Yeah, watching like this. I still have that picture. That's why it's in my head. Yeah. She would take a picture of me while I'm watching something like in class, or I don't know if it was during class or like during that break, and I'm just like staring at the screen like from the side, and you see my eyes like bulging out of my eye sockets, and just like she's like, yo, she told me, what is wrong with this dude? I would just be so focused.
Yeah.
But again, that focus is what took me out of that reality for a little while. And for me, that's perfect. I love watching comedy.
Yeah.
You can, that's one of the things that my wife and I today do, If we have nothing to do, hey babe, let's go catch a comedy club real quick. Hour and a half, we're back to normal, we're both we're enjoying the show. That's something that I feel like everyone, whether it's comedy, whether it's something else, whether it's a walk in the park or a jog, and listen to a lecture on Audible or whatever it may be, definitely something that people should have. They need to learn that about themselves, and if you don't, figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. Like mine, I remember, was really hanging out with friends. Like I had to.
That's what we did all the time.
Yeah.
Study. That was our break.
Well, see, besides studying, like just like say for example, we were done with a a bunch of exams. I needed to just chill with my friends and just kind of not think about PA school, you know. And it's not always like, even though we made all those points before, it's not always like you're gonna find time, and you need to take out time in those 2 years to de-stress. You gotta do it strategically. When you know you have, you know, just got done with a bunch of exams, the next one's not coming up for like at least a week or whatever, you could take a day to chill, you know, and to relax and to kind of de-stress, whether it's exercise or hiking or hanging out with your friends, family, whatever it is. That's very important.
If you guys have any key points that you want to share, please drop them in the comments. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at mypabox. And visit mypabox.com. There's a lot of blogs that we're coming up with now, you know, that will highlight some of the points if you're a pre-PA, if you're a PA student, or if you're a certified PA. So thanks for joining in.